Hi, good evening everyone. So today is the day 46 of Gear Up Mains Answer Writing. In this week, we will cover the internal security issues question of the previous year. In the last week, we covered the science and technology environment questions. So today's question is related to the Naxalism. So let's see what's the question. Naxalism is a social, economic and developmental issue manifesting as a violent internal security threat. In this context, discuss the emerging issue and suggest a multi-layered strategy to tackle the menace of Naxalism. Means the question is specifically asking us about the two parts. In the first part, the question is asking about what is the issue related with the Naxalism. We need to be specifically focused on social, economic and the developmental perspective. When in the second part, the question is saying, in this context, discuss the emerging issue. So means the first we will write about the social, economic and developmental issue. In the first part, we will write about social, economic and the developmental issue related with the Naxalism. In the second part, we need to be focused on emerging issue with the reference to the Naxalism. In the second part, we will write about the emerging issue with Naxalism. Emerging issue with the Naxalism. And in the finally, the question is asking us about a strategy. What can be the strategy to tackle the menace of Naxalism? So in the third part, we will write about the strategy. Strategy to tackle menace of Naxalism. And the third part, we need to write about a strategy to tackle the Naxalism. So question is clear here. In the first part, we need to write about the social, economic and developmental issue with reference to the violent internal security threats of Naxalism. Second is the emerging issue. What are the emerging issues with respect to Naxalism? And in the third part, we need to write about the strategy which need to be tackled. It may be the political strategy, it may be the economical, it may be the social strategy that we need to be focused on. And this question was asked in the UPSC 2022 under GS3, and it is a 15 marker question, means the 250 word we need to be right here. But the demand of the question is very high, like it's wanted to focus on the social, economic, development, then it's focused on the emerging issue, then finally the strategy. Means the question demand is high. We need to be focused on different perspective. So we will address the one or two perspective in detail, but the other perspective, it may be through the diagram, it may be through the schematic, we need to be present. Otherwise, we cannot address all the demand of the question. So it's becoming very important. You need to make some of the schematic related to the economic developmental issue, or maybe with related to the emerging issue, and you can finally write about the strategy to tackle the Naxalism. Okay, so now let's come to the introduction part. What we will write in the introduction? So what we will write in the introduction? In introduction, we can write directly the Naxalism definition. We can write about Naxalism definition. In Naxalism definition, it's a one-sided, we can say the left side. We need to be write about the Naxalism definition. We can directly about it is an ideology which is tilted toward the completely the left side ideology, which started because of the as a peasant movement against the Zamindar, which started against the Zamindar for the specifically related to land revenue policy, and it's then developed and it start again the government policy also. So it's a left side tilted ideology. So you can write about the Naxalism here. Or in the another way, you can write about the origin of the Naxalism from the Naxalbari village. You can also write about that. So it's your choice कि what you need to क्या आप लिखना चाहते हैं इस केस में. Then now we will come to the exact demand of the question. What's the question is exactly demanding here? It's demanding the social economic developments. What's related with the socio and economic developments? So now let's come with the first one. The first we will write about the social issues of the Naxalism. What can be the social issue related to Naxalism? So this is the first, in the first part we need to bear the three things. This is the first out of them, the social issue of Naxalism. Livelihood related, there are the various livelihood related issue, like issue related to health, issue related to the development, issue related to food, issue related to the availability of the government policy. So we can write about the issue related to health, issue related to the benefits of government policy, issue related to the food security. These are some of the issues which are not addressed by the government. These are the issues which are not easily addressed by the government, and these rights are not available to the Naxal people, those who are living in the Naxal area. Even it's the health related issue, even it's the government policy, even it's the food security, even it's maybe the PDS ration. So these are not available to Naxals, and or they are not taking the benefit of it. So that's why in them they are against the government. We are not getting the benefit of the policy, we are not getting the health benefit, the government policy. So they are against the government. Then in the case of the denial of justice, in the most of the cases it has been seen that there is no proper justice system. They are completely denial of justice, even in the case of the land, even in the case of the Forest Right Acts. There is a denial of justice to these people. Discrimination between the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, discrimination between these peoples, discrimination with those who are living in the urban area with these people. So there is a issue of the discrimination which lead to the Naxalism. And the caste and the gender role. There is, like I said, with the scheduled caste, fighting between different castes. So these issues are present. These are social issues which leads to the Naxalism. The first, livelihood related, when you are not getting the enough government support, when you are not getting the health, when you are not getting food security from the government, then there is a sentiment against the government. So that's the issue of the Naxalism. Brainwashed locals. In some of the case, these Naxal people brainwashing करते हैं locals लोगों की, जिसकी वजह से there is increasing in the numbers. That means the brainwashing of the locals. So these are some of the social issue with related to Naxalism that you need to be write. You can write in the one way, or you can make a three type of the structure. You can make a schematic and you can write with examples the social issue of the Naxalism. Now let's come to the second part. In the second part, the question is asking about the economic issue. We see the societal perspective first, and the question had the three demands. One is the societal perspective, second is the economical perspective, and third is the developmental perspective. So these three are the perspective of the first part of the questions. So we address the first one, the social perspective. Now let's come to the second part, that's the economic perspective and the economic issues of the Naxalism. Poverty. In this area, these are the very resourceful area. Even if we can see the area of Chhattisgarh, we can see the area of the Maharashtra. These are the economically rich region, but the poverty is prevalent in the some particular area, to the particular tribes, to particular caste. In this case, if there is higher poverty and the government policy is not reaching to them, the government policy or the government scheme and the benefits of the government scheme, policy, scheme, benefits are not available to these people. Means they are poor, and the poverty leads to the, or maybe it's a generation of various kind of things. Due to the poverty, when the person is not getting enough food, when the person is not able to get the treatment for the disease, when a person is not getting a proper supply of the water, when they are not connected with the urban area. So there is a sentiment against the government again. So poverty issue, unemployment, this is the major issue why the people are joining the Naxals. This is also one of the reason. Mining activity in these areas, like these are the resourceful area, mining activity by the private, forest right acts, impacting their livelihoods. Impacting their livelihoods. They are against the government. Then it's lead to the Naxalism. And rising the inequality in this area. Agricultural distress, we can see in the case of the Maharashtra. There is various agricultural distress due to the not availability of the water, due to the drought condition. And these are some of the conditions, these are some of the economic issue which leads to Naxalism. Land related issue, not proper, like we can say the land reforms. Government started the land reforms after the independence, but there is no proper implementation of these land reforms. So always the land related issue, the land reforms related issue, the failures of the land reforms, the implementation of the different kind of the law in this area. Even it's the FRA 2006. So these are some of the economic issue which leads to the Naxalism. So government should focus on these issues. We need to list out these. You can write these issues in this form. So it will save your time, or you can also write in this form. You cannot explain the each word here. If the question is of 15 mark, you need to write just the 250 words. If you start writing about all these issues, means you will be end up writing the half demand of the question, and the maximum you will get the 3 marks if you are writing the half demands. Okay, now let's come to the developmental issue. What can be the other developmental issue of the Naxalism? Lack of development. There is example in Chhattisgarh, specifically there is a region in the Chhattisgarh which is Naxalite region, and the Indravati river is flowing through there, and it's almost the 300 to 400 meter, 300 to 400 kilometer range the Indravati is flowing. And there is a, like this is the Indravati, we can consider Indravati river, and in this Indravati river approximately this is a 300 to 400 kilometer, and there is only 2 bridges in this huge range. There is only 2 bridges which are connecting this area. The person who are living in this area, they are having no connectivity with this developed region or this market region. So this is the against the sentiments of the common, against the development. So there is a against, they are like start thinking about it, they are not connected with this area. Issue of the resources, which again lead to the Naxalism. Discrimination, industrial policy, the government grant the policy, government frame the policy according to the private sector, and there is a huge discrimination in allocation also. So that's also one of the reason. Then the displacement by the development. If there is any development in this area, so there is also a displacement issue. And after the displacement issue, where the government, they are settling down. So availability after a displacement, what the government is doing, and we are the very weak in the settlements which are after the displacement of the people from the one place to another place. Even we can say in the case of the Narmada developments, the Narmada bridge, dam on Narmada. Even during the this Sardar Patel statue in the Gujarat, there is a huge displacement in the villages, but there is against the settlement. There is against the settlement issue with those people. You know, these development related issue is also one of the cause of the Naxalism. So this is the first part. This is only the first part where we are focusing on the developmental, economic, and the social issue. Now let's come to the second part of the question, which is asking us about the what are the emerging issue. We discuss about the social. We discuss about social, economic, and developmental issue. Discuss about these three and how these leads to the Naxalism. How these leads to the Naxalism. This was the question first part demand, and we discussed all these there. Now the second part, which is saying us about emerging issue with respect to the Naxalism, regaining of the lost area due to the government policy, due to the government framing of the policy, due to the government development, there was a decreasing trends in the Naxal area. We can say there were almost 74 districts in the Naxal area, and that was reduced to 46, 48 in between 2013 to 2020. So means there is a decline trends in the Naxal district, but they are gaining again, the regaining against the lost area. We can say in the Telangana, where they are mostly focused on, and they are regaining their area. These Naxals disrupt the election in this area by firing, maybe by bombing, and some of the other aspect by the guerrilla warfare. So they are disrupting the general election, they are disrupting the state election as well, even the panchayat elections. So there is a bigger issue in the elections as well. Set upon government, like there are some of the villages, some of the area, 5-6 districts which are the Naxal affected, and they start making their own governments, like this area is belong to us. These are the emerging issue in the upcoming time, regaining the lost area, disruption of the election, even it's a general election, even it's a state election, set up their own government, and the criminal activities. The criminal activity is increasing. Now they are using the high technology weapons. They are using the AK-47. They are having the all kind of the weapons which are used by the Indian military, or we can say which are the highly profiled weapons. So these are also the criminal activity which is increasing on their basis. Advanced technology, criminal activity in the case of the, they are like if they are any officer is going in this area, they are making them host. And in some of the killing, the political killing with the CRPF attacks, these are many criminal activity in which the Naxals are involved. Then in the case of the link with the foreign governments, now in some of the cases, the foreign private parties, even some of the companies are involved which are providing fundings to these Naxals, and the fundings they are using in the buying the for the criminal activity, and they are buying the high advanced technology weapons. In the political Naxalite nexus, in some of the cases, some of the politician is also involved in the Naxal nexus. So these are the emerging issue with the Naxalism. It's maybe they are gaining the lost area, political consensus, election disruption, criminal activities. They are set up their own government in the areas linked with the foreign governments. Means they are getting the funding from the foreign governments. So this was the second part. The second part specifically asking us about the emerging issue with respect to the Naxalism. Okay. Now we discussed the two parts. We discussed the two parts of the question. The first part of the question we address about the local, economic and the developmental issue, and in the second part we discussed the social, economic and the developmental issue. In the second part we discuss about the emerging issue. What are the emerging issue with the Naxalism? And now we left with the last part of the question, which is saying us about the suggest a multi-layered strategy. What strategy we can suggest to tackle the Naxalism? So now we need to be address the third part of the question, which is about to tackle the menace of the Naxalism. So in this case, we are in the third part we will be dividing in the some case of policy, civil and the security administration. So in the third part, the multi-layered strategy approach to tackle the menace of Naxalism. In this part, we are looking at the policy measures, we will look at the civil administration, we will look at the security related. So we divided the third part into the three sub parts: one policy, security and the civil administration. What we can do in these three contexts. The first context, the policy measure, means when the government is framing the policy to focus on the Naxal area. So what's the development government do, the connectivity of the roads, the connectivity of the bridge from the urban area, how the government policy, how the government benefits, how the government schemes can reach to these area. So political will. The first is the political. What's the political player want? They want to develop these area. They are framing their policy according to that. Is there is any developmental work is going on in these area or not? Is they are connected with the urban area, or they are connected with the, some of the villages there or not, or they are like a different area. So that's political will. So design of the policy, availability of the schemes, the benefits to the governments. So there's a political will. The improvement in the administrative machinery. Government should focus on the improvement in the administrative machinery in those areas, specifically to the public administration. Government introduced the Samadhan doctrine, specifically in the policy measures, and which was a successful doctrine introduced by the government. Through the Samadhan doctrine, there was a decreasing trend was seen in the Naxal related district, that's decreased from almost the 73, 74 to the 46, 47 districts. So through the Samadhan doctrine. So the government can think on these kind of doctrines which will help in developing the Naxal area and removing the Naxalism from those areas. So the first we discuss about the policy measure. Now let's come to the second part, which is about the civil administration. So what we will write in the civil administration? In the civil administration, improved governance. How we can improve the governance? Means the governance improvement means we need to be focused on how the government benefits, how the government policy, how the government's PDS schemes, health rights, food security, connectivity, road infrastructure can reach to these areas. How these areas can be developed, how the electricity, how the internet Wi-Fi connections, how the water availability is available to these areas. So government should focus on the governance of these areas, how we can increase the governance. Skill development and employment, government should focus on the developments, specifically the skill related, how they can develop the skills in the tribal people. They can focus on the specific kind of the products, one tribe, one products kind of things. So government should be focused on specific schemes which can develop the skill in this area and can generate the employment. If the person are involved in the employment, so they are not tilted toward the Naxalism. So the employment, skill developments is the other measure which used to be done, so that the government can easily focus on the Naxal area, and the people are also involved in some activity which lead to let's do away from the Naxalism. Then the securing the traditional rights, specifically in this case we can say the forest right. They want their traditional rights, forest right, how the forest right can be available to the area. Judicial system, easily, like the how if they are approaching to the judicial system, then the cases should not take the longer time. In the cases, the issues are not addressed by the judicial system as well. So there is a need to be focused on these areas as well. Then the infrastructure development in these area, the road connectivity, bridge connectivity, development related to the roads, infrastructure developments, different infrastructure development, maybe the internet related developments, food security related developments that need to be focused on. So in the civil administration, we looked at the improved governance, skill development and employments, securing traditional rights, judicial systems, and the infrastructure related development. Now we left with the last one. The last one we need to be focused on the security related issue. What the government can do with respect to the security related issue. Strengthening the state police force. Government can focus on the training of the state police force, so they can tackle the Naxalism in the specific area. So they can involve with the local people, and the local people can show trust on the police force also. So the first part is the strengthening the state police force if we want to tackle the Naxalism issue. We can learn from some of the state good strategy, like the Andhra Pradesh started the Greyhound forces specifically to tackle the Naxalism. The similar examples can be set up by some of the other states which are Naxal impacted. It may be the Chhattisgarh or the Maharashtra which can take a further more steps. Strengthen the police station. Strengthen the police station in the means we need to focus on the police station infrastructures. We need to be focused on the arms and ammunition with the police stations and the technology based, like the Naxals is having the high technology weapons, where in the police station, we need to be focused on that. Here also we need to be focused on the training of the police force also. The need to sensitize the armed force related to the Naxalism. So these are some of the security related issue that we need to be focused on. So in the finally, in the strategy that the question is demanding, we focused on the policy measures, we focused on the civil administration, and we focused on the security related issue. So these are the three part of the question. Means this was a very large question that you need to be addressed. So you need to be very choosy when you will write the answer. You can write a 2-3 points in the one subheading only, not more than that. If you start writing 10, 12, 15 points in a one subheading, means you are wasting your time and you will not get enough marks there. Now, how we will conclude this answer? Let's come to the question again. How we will conclude this answer? Like the question is about the Naxalism issue, the developmental issue, how we can tackle, and the emergence. These are the 4-5 keywords in the question. So when we are concluding the answer, we need to be suggest some of the, like the government should focus on the infrastructure issue. A government should focus on the how they can the benefit of the policy. Government should focus on the skill development, employments, and the proper policy that should be directly implemented in this area and can tackle the issue of these people. So that should be the perfect conclusion for these kind of the questions. So this was the day 46, which was related to the security issue. Again we will meet tomorrow at 6 p.m. with another question which was again on the security issue. Till then, take care. Bye bye. Please try to write the answers and submit to the Edukemy portal. Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone.